Okay, so if you're a developer who uses AI coding agents, you know this feeling, right? That frustration. You spend all this time teaching it something, getting it just right, and then the next day, poof, it's a complete blank slate. Well, today, we're diving into how you can give your AI a permanent memory. This is all about NEXO Brain.
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the problem. It's this constant amnesia that makes what could be an amazing partner feel like just a stateless, repetitive tool. It's basically Groundhog Day, but for your code.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll really dig into this amnesia problem. Then, we'll look at the solution, which is actually inspired by human psychology. After that, we'll take a tour of the brain's coolest features, see how it becomes a real partner, and then, of course, show you how to install it.
All right, let's dive into our first section, the amnesic AI problem. And look, this is the core issue that every single developer using these agents feels pretty much daily. It's that constant, maddening cycle of having to re-explain and recorrect the same things over and over again. And this just lays it all out, the before and after. On one side, you've got the AI without a brain. Every session is a fresh start, it makes the same mistakes, and it can only find things by exact keywords. But then you add NEXO Brain, and wow, it's a completely different story. Memory sticks around, it actually checks for past mistakes before it acts, and it finds things by meaning, by context. This is a huge shift from a reactive tool to a truly proactive teammate. So how do we fix this? Well, that brings us to our next section. And the big idea here, the real breakthrough, isn't just to throw more data at the problem. No, it's about building a better model for memory. One that's based on the most successful cognitive system ever, our own brain. And this is what's so cool about this. The foundation for the super modern AI tool, it actually comes from a cognitive psychology paper from way back in 1968. NEXO Brain literally implements the Atkinson-Shiffrin model, which breaks down how we humans form memories into 3 clear stages. This isn't just a clever metaphor, it's the actual architecture.
Okay, so here's how that actually works in practice. First, everything you do gets captured in the sensory register. Think of it like a raw log file that only lasts for about 48 hours. Then the important stuff gets promoted to short-term memory, which is your active workspace with about a 7-day half-life. And finally, the really crucial knowledge, the stuff you use all the time, gets consolidated into long-term memory, becoming part of that stable, trusted knowledge base.
And you gotta get this next part because it's so important. Forgetting is actually a feature, not a bug. NEXO Brain uses what are called Ebbinghaus forgetting curves. That just means memories fade away naturally unless you access them. This is brilliant because it stops the AI's brain from getting clogged up with useless junk, making sure that what it remembers is what's actually important to you.
All right, so we get the theory. Now let's take a look under the hood. Time for a tour of the brain to see the specific features that make this whole cognitive system so powerful. First up, you've got the input pipeline. Think of it like a really smart bouncer at the door. It uses something called prediction error gating, which means it only stores stuff that's new or surprising. It has a 4-layer security pipeline to stop bad data from getting in. New facts go into a quarantine queue until they're verified, and, so important, it automatically strips out secrets, so your API keys and passwords never even touch the database.
Now, getting info out of the brain is just as clever. Semantic search means you can search for that bug with the deployment, and it'll find a memory about an SSH timeout because it understands what you mean. And hide query expansion, this is wild. It basically imagines what a perfect answer would look like, and then it goes and searches for memories that match that imagined answer. Then there's spreading activation, which acts just like our brains, strengthening the links between related ideas every time you pull them up together. And you're in the driver's seat here with a ton of control. You can pin critical memories so they never fade. You can snooze or archive others, and the system handles the rest. It'll automatically merge duplicate memories, and then there's this feature called memory dreaming. How cool is that? During its sleep cycle, it actually searches for hidden connections and patterns in your recent work. Okay, let's pull back for a second, because all these individual features, they add up to something way bigger. This is where your AI goes from being just a tool to being a real cognitive partner, a genuine teammate who actually gets your workflow. This right here, this is basically metacognition. It's the AI thinking about its own thinking. Before it does anything, it asks itself that one simple question. This is how it stops repeating the same dumb mistakes you've already corrected. It saves you time and it stops bugs before they even get written. And check this out. This is a feature called cognitive dissonance detection. And honestly, it's a total game changer. When you tell it to do something that goes against a pattern it's already learned, it doesn't just blindly do it. It speaks up. It points out the conflict and asks for clarification. It turns a command into a conversation.
So how does it manage this back and forth? With something called a trust score. Think of it like a relationship meter. When it does well, the score goes up. When it messes up, it goes down. Now, this score isn't about permissions, it's about rigor. A high score means it'll be less chatty, more efficient. A low score means it'll be more cautious and double-check things. It's a direct reflection of your working relationship.
I love this slide because it just makes so much sense. The AI has its own automated sleep cycle, just like we do. It consolidates important memories, that's like our deep sleep. It prunes away weak and unused connections, which is exactly like synaptic pruning in our own brains. And then it runs health checks, so it wakes up fresh and ready to go.
All right, we've seen the problem, we've seen the incredible solution inspired by the human mind, and we've toured all the cool features. So, how do you get your hands on it? Well, that's the best part. It's ridiculously easy. But before I show you the command, let's just quickly run through why this is such a big deal for developers. First, it's 100% local. All your data, your agent's entire brain, stays on your machine. Total privacy. Second, zero API costs. The vector search runs right on your CPU. Third, it's truly open source under the MIT license. And finally, you get this massive toolkit with over 97 cognitive tools right out of the box. And here it is. That's it. One line. You type that into your terminal, and the whole installation is handled for you. No messing around with databases, no complicated setup. You run this, and boom, your AI has a brain. It really is that simple. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Seriously, what could you build if your AI partner never, ever forgot? What kind of productivity, what kind of creativity could you unlock if your AI actually learned and grew alongside you every single day?